To the big college game of the weekend. We are 3 days away from what might be the biggest game of the year. Clemson and Notre Dame without Trevor Lawrence. He's sitting out after testing positive for the coronavirus. He should be on the sideline, is our understanding, but the Tigers will once again go with D.J. Uiagalelei going into this game against Notre Dame. And here are Paul Finebaum and David Pollack, who are with us here. And, you know, Paul, we've had an interesting conversation here about how Clemson could afford to lose this game because they would get another shot at the Irish potentially at the end. How about the other way? How about if Clemson wins this game without its star quarterback in Trevor Lawrence? What would that mean for Notre Dame?
I think the path would be much more narrow. This is their moment. The game is at home, and they're playing Clemson without the so-called best quarterback in college football and the presumptive Heisman favorite until a week ago. So where do they go? I don't want to sound like I'm at the electoral map trying to find a path to 270, but there's really no place for them to go. They have North Carolina on the road. That's probably not going to help. Their only chance, again, is to beat Clemson in the ACC championship game. That might be enough depending on the other circumstances, but it's not a sure thing.
Meanwhile, David, let me just ask you flat out, we're just a couple of days away. Who do you believe wins the game? We saw the freshman quarterback play real well in the second half in particular last weekend. Notre Dame is a step up in class from what they faced last week. Who wins this game Saturday?
I heard you yesterday, Greeny, and you were trying to avoid saying the young man's name, the quarterback's name. You could say it with your chest, Greeny.
Did I get it right?
Uiagalelei. That's
yes.
Great. See, you got it, bro. You got it nailed. But listen, I think what I saw from him a week ago was really, really good. We know he's big. We know he's strong at 6'5", 250 pounds, for goodness sakes. But I think just the calmness. You know, you get down 18, and he was really good. But here's the thing. It's going to be a lot more difficult than it was a week ago. Notre Dame, compared to Boston College, defensively is way better, way more active, way more disciplined, way more talented. So I think it's going to be, if you look at this offense, really, I think that the running back spot, Travis Etienne was shut down last week. Everybody talks about, is it Etienne, is it Lawrence? You know, it affected Lawrence. It affected Etienne big time not having Lawrence. Uiagalelei, definitely with his feet and his ability to run the football, will play huge. Listen, I still give the edge a little bit to Clemson and Brent Venables and that defense, even though they're missing Skowski and some guys. I like the way they bring pressure, and I don't know if I totally trust Notre Dame's offense consistently to put up a bunch of points. But this will be a very, very close game, unlike when they met in the playoff years ago, and it got bad quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Again, a lot of reason to believe it could be as big a game as we have all year long. Very quickly, Paul, there's been a lot of conversation after Michigan lost this past weekend to Michigan State about Jim Harbaugh and the circumstances in Ann Arbor. Now, you're usually the one starting that conversation. I feel like you've been uncharacteristically quiet. So I will ask you, what is your perception and perspective on that whole situation as of right now?
Well, Greeny, I'm bored with criticizing Jim Harbaugh because it's just become so easy. I like a challenge. Talk about a coach that may be a tweener. I think it's time for not to fire Jim Harbaugh. They're not going to do that because every time I say that, Jalen Rose pops out of the desk and tells me how wrong I am. But the point is, they just need an amicable divorce. He has another year on his contract after this. It's not going to get any better. So do it. Let's sit down, work it out, and let Jim Harbaugh look for a job in the NFL. I don't know if he can get one. He may. It's a different league than it was when he was at the 49ers, but I think he's better off somewhere other than Michigan. And quite frankly, I think Michigan fans are starting to agree.
He is the only coach in the Big Ten whose contract ends as soon as his does. Again, this season and one more. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.